Thank you very much, Professor. Now, we have a short time for questions, so perhaps we'll just take 2 or 3 questions, please. Please let the questions be brief. Yes, please. Are there any other questions? Yourself too? Third person? Okay. Can you please go ahead? Let it have the microphone, please.
Thank you. This working? Okay.
Your name and affiliation, please.
Okay, name is Abadir Ibrahim from St. Thomas University in Miami, Florida, and also from Ethiopia. My question goes to Professor Ian. With regards to the distinction between values and morality, is the distinction just the existence and the lack of a God? Because it sounds like, you know, the two binary oppositions that were presented sound like the same things. If you look at it from a sociological perspective rather than from a philosophical perspective. And if it's a philosophical perspective, then does it go to, you know, you're sitting in a Western liberal ivory tower, and that's where the discussion is taking place. Thank you.
Do you want to take all the questions? And then...
Yes, all the questions and then answers after that. Second question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Muhammad Harun from University of Botswana. I think since we're dealing with the conceptual, I was just wondering, I was listening to the Fracas making reference to Murray's text where he talks about the religion education as opposed to religious education. I was just wondering, I mean, because sometimes we get tied up in the words, and of course there have been differences in terms. I just wanted to know a general comment from all in terms of which would be the and why this shift in using these terms, because it has an implication. For example, there's one department that calls itself Department of Religion Education and not religious education. Tied to that is the whole concept of interfaith vis-a-vis interreligious. And sometimes also we get caught up, because I was just heard earlier on the word faith being co-opted into the explaining when we talk about other sectors of judgment, we talk about faith and it doesn't talk about religion. So I was just wondering whether you can comment on it, because I think it does touch upon the whole issue of the conceptual, and that was how we basically explain and of course basically define and explain these things. Just coming back to the first paper, I may add, as you were explained to us, of course it is your specific church that you belong to, the United Reformed Mission church itself, in terms of your own policy. And as you were explaining, which of course one can understand and appreciate, one thinks also about the other. I mean, I was thinking immediately of the ZCC, for example, and other denominations. What if all of these particular denominations adopt a similar position as yours, at this point in time, my thinking is 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, will that still be applicable to that community? Will they still want to basically adopt a somewhat restrictive approach, if I may use that term, in relation to the education? Thank you.
Thank you. We will start from that end in terms of answers.
I think if I understand your question, you're asking about universal moral principles. Is that right? Yeah. Well, I mean, I would want to approach that by saying that the quest for shared virtues is one that seeks to find moral goods that are accepted by various traditions. I don't want to get tied up in an analytical game of saying it varies from this principle, varies from this group to this group, therefore there are no universal principles. I don't believe that. I think we should start from the other end and in a gesture towards realism. What do people actually believe in these different traditions? And then that creates our understanding of civic virtue, not abstraction.
Regarding the policy, why it refers to religious instruction and religion education, I suppose it's to find a midway in line with the cooperative idea, which is not successful because in the process they've sacrificed the whole idea of religious education. Interesting is that the manifesto 2 years earlier actually excluded religious observances as well, irrespective of what our constitution says. So in a way we have to applaud the development. But that's where my problem comes in. If you look at the establishment idea in the USA, to what extent can cooperation and how it's interpreted be similar to a strict separation between the public sphere and religion? Can't we talk in the US also of a type of cooperation in certain examples in schools, for example? That's what I'd like to look in further.
Now we'll take just one more question. I saw somebody raising up a hand there. Then you, Miriam, will answer. Please.
Yes, my question is quick for the whole panel. Is there something distinctively African about the question of religion in public schools? And the contextual comment would be that the stereotype is Africa's so religious. You get your values from your family, from the community. What's so special about getting it or not getting it in schools in Africa?
Miriam.
Concerning your question concerning the ZCC or any other maybe grouping, it can maybe even the Muslims or anyone else. In South Africa it means at this point of time, it seemed to us is the United Reformed Church is a majority religion except in schools, namely maybe Christians who make a preference towards Christian religious observance. Our take on the matter is the following, is that if it's maybe because I live in Cape Town, it can easily happen, it can maybe a Muslim, most of the people in that school is maybe Muslim. The question for us is, what about the minority? The safeguarding about the minority should always be there. So our take on the whole issue is the following, is that if we look at religious observance in maybe religious assemblies and so on, the assemblies maybe in the morning, it should be, the scriptures should be from different texts, the Quran or Christian texts and so on. So there should be provision for everyone in secular schools in order to adhere to their own religion. So I do think it would have changed very shortly because the UTSA have a point, like we also accept what we say, the World Council of Church and Science concerning the interfaith, the multi-religious world which we live in. And there we say quite clearly what we believe about interreligious dialogue, and we say quite clearly about the conduct of Christian witness around the world. So we believe that we live in a multi-religious world, a pluralistic world, and so to engage appropriately, not now only in South Africa, only for the future for people of different religions and cultures. It's our take on matter. Thank you.
With respect to the question about Africa and religious education, if it's big in the home, why do you need it in the schools? Well, in any culture, doesn't matter where it is, public education has a different function than what goes on in the home. And particularly where, as I've tried to identify in my paper, there's a deep confusion about moral language. In the culture, values has come to dominate. There's a need for state officials that understand this kind of distinction to develop a richer curriculum. They're generally not doing it, but they're going to need to do it in the future.
Then I just want to think that's a really good question, and the question is why not? I support. I just think no matter what route you're going to follow, all of reality is belief, as a belief. It's about going the best route. There's always going to be exclusion, but it's about going the best route. And, having said what I said in my paper, one mustn't forget that, minority protection in the school, equity, freedom, voluntariness, the rules of the school governing bodies, and so forth must be built in. And we must work on some type of measure or framework to allow the protection of minority interests as well. But that's for another day. Thanks.
Thank you very much, our panel of speakers, and all of us that have been listening. I think we will have a short break and then go into concurrent sessions. Thank you very much.